Well, now, with the government saying bills will have to go up by £100 per customer, I put it to the Energy Secretary Ed Davey that the reforms will make energy less affordable and that the extra money generated will subsidise the nuclear industry.
Not at all, that's quite wrong. If we did nothing, if we didn't do these electricity market reforms we're talking about today, we would see a massive increase in prices for consumers. Our estimates suggest it could be £200 more. So by doing it this way, by replacing the infrastructure that we need to keep the lights on, that we need to meet our climate change challenges, this enables us to do it in a cost-effective way for consumers.
Well, I'm wondering how you've done your sums, because if you look at the two nuclear powers that are being built in Europe at the moment, one in France, one in Finland, both have encountered appalling problems on the way and are still not finished. How have you managed to compute that this is only going to cost £100 per person or per bill per year? What happens if it goes wrong? It will be a lot more than that.
Well, let's be clear, we're not putting all our eggs in one basket, primarily because that would take a risk with the British economy and with our efforts to reduce climate change. That's why we've got a number of low-carbon technologies, and I say to you today that the coalition agreement makes it clear that there'll be no public subsidy for nuclear. And if nuclear can't be cost competitive, then it won't proceed.
I'm asking you a very simple question. You factored in a £100 a year increase for the bills. What happens if something goes wrong with building the nuclear power stations, which are running into problems everywhere else where they're being built?
Well, the reason we've gone for the reforms we're doing today is to make sure we can deal with all the many risks and many uncertainties that faces when you're planning a nation's energy infrastructure for the next 3-4 decades. And I can go through the risks. There's a risk that you've mentioned that nuclear doesn't get built on time or on budget. There's a risk that global gas prices go up even more than people are expecting. There's a risk that renewable technology doesn't reduce its cost as much as we hope it will. There's a risk that carbon capture and storage doesn't come online. There's huge risks, and what we need to do as a responsible government is make sure we have a system that will manage those risks in a way which keeps the bills as low as possible for consumers.
Well, that's very candid of you, and therefore the £100 is a hope rather than an expectation.
Well, I would defy you or anyone else to be able to estimate precisely the cost of electricity in 20 years' time. Anyone who does say that with precision, frankly, is not telling the truth. So
£100 is a well-informed guess, but nothing more than that.
Yes, exactly. We have to model these changes, and we have to model them against different scenarios. And what our modelling shows, if we did nothing, hold on, let me finish this. If we didn't do these reforms, it'd be more expensive for the consumer. The consumer currently pays for infrastructure, and as we get this £110 billion of investment in low-carbon infrastructure for our future energy needs, the way we're doing it, we'll do that in the most cost-effective way possible.
But nevertheless, this pricing is a well-informed guess. It could get worse than that.
Could get better.
Yeah, but it can also get worse.
Well, you're right to say, and well done, that when you're thinking about prices in 20 years' time, you don't know exactly what they're going to be. They could be higher or lower. Congratulations for recognising that uncertainty and that risk. And what we're doing as a sensible, responsible government, planning for the future, dealing with these huge challenges, is putting in a system that is flexible, that manages those risks, that attracts the investment we need to keep the lights on and to adopt clean energy.
The Energy Secretary Ed Davey talking to us earlier.